Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning, and welcome to an edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there at Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Visit them at comforttemp.com. Very disappointing night. Gators go down. In the game, they were outplayed and outcoached. That's what I saw. It's very disappointing. Season ends, lose 73-72 to Iowa. Baseball gets swept by Alabama, gets no hit. The good news is softball takes the series from the number one team in America, and the Lady Gator gymnastics team wins the SEC.
Yes.
JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp.
Well,
just a rough night for the Gators. They just got pushed around by Iowa.
I didn't see that coming, QB. I didn't really know much about Iowa. I know they were a middle-of-the-road Big Ten team. But now they get a Big Ten rematch in Houston with one of their conference rivals in Nebraska. And as far as the SEC goes, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 teams going on to the Sweet 16, all from one side, the West and the Midwest. So, yeah, I don't know what happened with the baseball up in Tuscaloosa. I really thought Alabama was one of the worst teams in the SEC. Evidently, they can hit, I guess. I don't know. But that was not a good showing at all up there. And then that basketball team, this is why I didn't have them in the Final Four. I had them losing to Houston, but I guess losing to Iowa is the same thing in Tampa, although you would have hoped that they could have gotten through Tampa to at least advance into Houston. But because I think they would have had a good matchup with Nebraska. Iowa, I don't know who the hell Iowa is. I know this. Their coach is a winner. He's had a hell of a record in the postseason. If you've looked at his record as a coach, and I just fell on this. I didn't do any research. I mean, really, honest to God, QB, I was one of the lowest. They're one of the least sought out team on my radar screen. I'm just going to be honest with you. This team hadn't done anything all year long, but this guy Ben McCollum, 38-8 all time in the NCAA tournament, both in Division I and Division II. He's won 4 Division II national titles. I had no idea who this guy was. He led Drake.
He went from Northwest Missouri State, which a lot of the players that we played against played at Northwest Missouri State. Their point guard, number 12, followed him to Drake, and they had a lot of success there, and then they followed him to Iowa. But what's crazy is, JC, he's a good coach. They slow it down. They play team basketball. They bore you to death. But what's interesting, and this is why I knew about Sturts. That's their point guard.
Yeah.
He was like the player of the year in that Division II league, and then he was the player of the year for Drake. And obviously, he wasn't the player of the year in Big Ten basketball. It's different. But it's hard to believe their best player went 0 for 9 from 3, and he's an 81% free throw shooter, and he went 5 for 10, and they won the game.
It's hard to believe. I think they simply, in the front court, dominated a game that I did not see they could possibly do that. And coaching-wise, I think Ben just outcoached Todd. I mean, I don't know what that last situation was there in the last 30 seconds. I think in the postgame, Todd said something about they were looking to foul with a 2-point lead. They were looking to foul and put Iowa on the line for a 1-and-1. That right there is flawed. The biggest problem I had with it was that they pressed, allowing Iowa to break open a fast break to get an open shot and to bang it down to win the game. He could have missed the shot, and we all wouldn't be talking about any of this. But there was a flaw in the strategy there, I think, in the last minute of the game. I didn't understand what we saw there at the end when you press with 9-something seconds left or 12 or however many it was, to just allow them to fast break. Yeah, so they put on an NBA fast break.
keep the
And
ball
they
in
had
front
wide
of
open
you
shot.
and make them use clock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
so
bad. It was bad. So I don't know. They
so when you look
lost.
at game, look, we're not even going to sit here and talk about the thrown punch and all that stuff. I agree with what people say. He didn't land the punch or whatever. Condon should not have got a penalty, technical foul. That had no bearing on the basketball game, in my opinion. You know, you look at a couple things. Listen to the last three possessions we had the ball, JC. We were up by 3, 71-68, with a minute 10 left to play. These are our last 4 possessions.
Yeah.
Boogie drives. He has a layup, but the ball, they knock the ball out. Then he touches it. It goes out of bounds. They review it, give it to Iowa. They go down. Sturts hits a little floater to make it 71-70.
Okay.
Then we come back down, and Thomas Houck misses 2 3-pointers on the same possession. We go down. They miss a shot. We get the rebound. They foul us. Isaiah Brown makes 1 of 2, and then you saw what happened. So, look, there's a million things you can look at this. This is sports, right? This is what March Madness is all about. I didn't think we played very well. I thought Iowa took it to us, unfortunately. And you got to kind of tip your hat. And it was tough to sleep. I didn't even play in the game, and I had a hard time sleeping last night.
Yeah. Well, it was just a shock. I mean, let's be honest. I was not a team anybody had advancing. So, I mean, nobody had them advancing. They're a middle of the road Big Ten team. That's all they are. But they played their best game of the season at the very best time for themselves. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just didn't think we played very well, or give way too much credit to Iowa, because listen to this stat. Iowa shot over 70% on 2-point baskets last night.
Yeah.
No team had ever done that against a Tide Golden team in his tenure. Think about that. Over 70-something%
No,
on 2-point shots.
They had their best game in multiple years. So Chris Felica says only one defending champion since 2007 has gone past the Sweet 16. Just one. That's almost 20 years. So Florida adds to that list of not having done it. So I don't know. I'm stunned. I still like Houston in that bracket, though. I haven't changed my mind about that. They'll be playing Illinois. Illinois looked really good in their first 2 games. I think in the Sweet 16, it's still going to run. We're still going to end up with a couple of 1 seeds. I think Arizona looks now. Listen, they're going to have to run with Arkansas and Purdue, but tip your cap to Texas, tip your cap to Alabama, tip your cap to Tennessee, and tip your cap to the other SEC team I'm missing. There's 4 of them. Arkansas, yeah. So I think I was surprised by that. I thought we'd have at least 5 or 6, but whatever. You get what you get. And Texas played well coming out of the play-in game. Tennessee looked outstanding, beating Virginia out of the ACC. Duke is the only ACC team left. The Big Ten has some teams in there now, but Iowa State, what they did to Kentucky in the second half with their defense was telling, and they didn't even have their best player, Josh Jeffries. So I think we're going to see pretty chalky finish here to the Big Dance, and that's somewhat what I think was expected. But I did not. I thought Florida was getting out of Tampa for sure, and everybody did. But they got beat. Yep. They got beat, and they get to think about it now and move on.
Jerry says on Facebook Live, brought to you by bottom line, our guards were never going to be good enough to win the national championship, period.
Well, no, I mean,
yes
I don't know.
No, but I didn't think our front court played worth the crap, really, honestly.
No, they got beat.
Too many easy shots. And, yeah, it's a team effort. And I personally, this is my personal opinion. Again, people can criticize it for all they want. I think Chinulu, I think Condon, and I think Tommy Houck should all come back.
I do too.
I know they have Tommy as a lottery pick. I don't quite see that right now. He's had spurts, but if he's going to be a lottery pick, you got to go. But anyway, I know people are down on our guards, and I get it, but I didn't think our front court played worth the darn last night.
Right, that they were beat in the front court for sure, and that was the biggest surprise for me. That was the biggest surprise for me because that's the strength of the team. And give them credit for fighting back. I mean, down, what was it, 12 I'm driving back and
Yeah.
listening to it on the radio, and they made their run. I thought, okay, they're going to pull this out after all. But you have to tip, like you say, you have to tip your cap and say, congratulations, Ben McCollum. You get to go play Nebraska to get to the Elite Eight to lose to Houston or Illinois. So that's how I see it happening. My Final Four is still Houston, Duke, Arizona, Iowa State. I mean, there's nothing special about that. But Iowa State playing without their best player really locked up Kentucky yesterday. Kentucky shouldn't have been there to begin with. Santa Clara should have beat them, and we all know it. We all saw it. They didn't allow that coach to call the timeout after 2.5 seconds, with 2.5 seconds left after Iowa State went up by 3. I don't know if I've ever seen a team lose a game up 3 with 2.5 seconds left, but I saw it with Kentucky and Iowa State. But Kentucky was they were a fraud, and they're in the same place that the other 12 SEC teams are right now. So we'll see what Texas can do with Purdue. I'm not optimistic there. I do think Arkansas and Arizona is going to be a wildly entertaining game because you're going to have this athletic game going up and down the court. Arkansas just plays a freakish type of style, but Arizona can play with that.
Well, they got the best player. They got the best player in the tournament.
Yeah, and then you've got Alabama and Michigan. I tell you, Michigan really should have no problem with Alabama, but something strange happens when you make 15 three-point shots. I don't know if that can continue. I think Michigan will play much better than did the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Look, they've been playing without their best player for over a month and a half now, so no more excuses for Texas Tech. They got beat by 25 points, and nobody saw that. And so, I mean, most people had Alabama losing in the second round, losing in last night's game, but they somehow got through. And then I think UConn, Michigan State, St. John's, and Duke really present the best 4 teams in any region over there in the East. UConn and Michigan State are going to just bang each other to death. And St. John's, if they shoot well, has a real opportunity here, I think, to beat Duke. We'll see. That's one of your teams, St. John's.
Yes, I have them in the Final Four.
They have to beat Duke.
Duke is the most least impressive team I've seen as a 1 seed. I mean, obviously we got knocked out, but I don't see it. Their best player to me is the number 3 kid. He's a guard, shooting guard. I mean, the Boozer guys are okay. I don't think they're as athletic as he is. But anyway, John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, no bearing that if the guy gets ejected and he doesn't hit, well, it could have been somebody else hit the game winner. I just didn't think I didn't think that was as big a deal as people making it out to be.
Well,
I just thought they were more physical than we were, and they made the plays.
Well, and I think Todd just kind of screwed up in the last minute of the game. I'm sorry. We want to call him one of the greatest coaches of all time going up through the ranks, and maybe he is, but he choked last night in regards to, and I'm not trying to be harsh here, but the last possession made no sense to me, and neither did it on the defensive end. So, sometimes you got to coach yourself. In spite of the way your kids play, sometimes you got to coach them through. That's what Tom Izzo's always done. They haven't had the best teams, but somehow they come out and win games they shouldn't win a lot of times. Florida played a game last night they probably shouldn't have won, but they could have won. They were winning with 8 seconds to go. Mm-hmm. And pressing in that spot and then telling the media afterwards that you were looking to foul them too made absolutely zero sense to me. And I'm not even a basketball coach or a basketball player or any of that. I just watched the crap. And yet I don't know what was thought of there. I don't know the thinking. It just didn't. The analysts on the desk were just perplexed. Charles Barkley, Clark Kellogg, they didn't understand what the hell they were watching. But they didn't take the credit away from Iowa, and that was proper. They gave credit to Florida for making it interesting there at the very end and making it very exciting. They had the crowd behind them. They could have won very easily if this kid misses the shot. And we're not even talking about all this. But that's not how it worked out, QB. So,
nope, that is sports. Rick in Jupiter said, "I took that loss rough.
Yeah,
felt like we should have won at the end, but we are being honest. I think Golden coached one of his worst games of the season last night, and that was a big reason we just couldn't get over the top, in his opinion."
I agree. I mean,
I would be anxious. I mean, we'll never know, but the last play of the game, it looked like to me because I mean they stood over there a while drawing stuff up, that they were going to try to penetrate, dish to one of the big guys. They practice those situations about how much time is on the clock, and you had a how much time did you have left, JC? Wasn't it like 8 seconds?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
You had time to drive and
break.
dish,
fast break down court,
work.
wide open shot. You can't let that happen. Sorry. If you lose on a buzzer beater from damn near half court, okay, but at least you had somebody stopping the momentum to a wide open shot from a normal length range position. And this Iowa kid was just parked right there. They just executed a great play. And then what happened in Tuscaloosa? Listen, man, I'm not a Alabama baseball guy. I don't think they're that good. But I don't know how hit somebody and then go ahead and sweep them. Florida was up 4-0 yesterday in the final game. And then came the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning, and they couldn't get an out. And they couldn't stop this team from scoring. And so Kevin O'Sullivan, I think, let them know about it on the trip home from what I read. And now they're 3-3 in the SEC, still very early, but this cannot make you feel confident. It doesn't make me feel confident on Florida's end as a team that's that serious about winning this conference. Now, they could. There's a lot of great teams in the SEC, but playing at Arkansas next weekend, you going to have high hopes for that? I don't know.
Electronics World Integration and Design Specialist for Smart Home Automation and Entertainment. Let Electronics World bring the Florida Gators basketball, baseball, softball, and the NBA to your living room. ElectronicsWorld.com. Josh on the Titan MR text line says, disappointed in the loss, but on to next year. Who from this roster are must retains? Only Lee is out of eligibility. If you could keep, who would you keep? I personally think everybody that has eligibility should come back. I really do. I mean, I love Tommy Houck. I think he's a tremendous basketball player. I think he's gotten better, but he's kind of, if you go back to what we did against Denzel Aberdeen, making him go left, Tommy never goes left. If you watch him, he goes right. He plays on the right side of the court a lot. I don't know. I mean, obviously the NBA people, they do this for a living. It'd be good. I would like to see them all come back because I think they'd be much better after a year. But I have no idea. I don't know who's coming back. Some of these guys could transfer. You just never know how that works.
So we had a couple guys, Kanye Ron here on YouTube. We've got a couple of other fellas here with comments talking about, hey, don't let this ruin what you remembered from the season. Well, I mean, okay, that's very optimistic, and I mean that's very nice, but to me, it does end up being defined the season that is by the tournament. It does to me.
Here's how hard it is to win a championship. If you really think back to last year's run, the Gators were very fortunate. I'll use that term, fortunate, and in several of those games. Yeah. And think about it. Houston kind of ended their season in the national title game not getting a shot off. We didn't get a shot off against Iowa.
That's right. Didn't get a shot off against Iowa with 4.5 seconds. That should be enough time to at least get a shot off. But just if you look back at the season, it was very, very. They had a lot of great moments there. But what does that really matter now when you want to define the way this season went or ended, I should say? And so, the tournament is cruel that way. There's only one team that can win, but at least get to the Sweet 16. Alabama for its, I guess, for its basketball program to get to the Sweet 16 4 straight years is an accomplishment. Winning a national title trumps that completely. And Florida's done it 3 times, and that's wonderful. And we've all talked about how impressive that is when you compare it to some of the blue blood schools like Kentucky and Duke and Michigan State, and how much better it is than Kentucky and Duke and Michigan State. But consistency, I guess, each year, getting to a certain round in the tournament, and then just deciding, okay, it can go either way, it's kind of what I look for. And leaving in the second round in Tampa to a middle-of-the-road Big Ten team is a tremendous disappointment. And to me, that's going to define, I think, what we saw, because they didn't win the SEC tournament. They got blown out by Vanderbilt, and then they lose this game. It didn't end well. I'm sorry, guys. It didn't end well. It sucked. So I think they would all admit that if they're being honest, and that's how I feel about it.
JC, there's 3 SEC teams that have made the Sweet 16 last 4 years, and they're the only teams in America that have done it 4 straight years. You know who they are?
And they're all in the SEC?
Yeah.
Well, I would
Alabama,
guess it'd be
Arkansas,
and Tennessee Vols. Yeah, because Texas is new to this. So, yeah, it's Alabama, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And whether any of them even get through the next round is debatable, because I don't think Alabama matches up at all with Michigan. I don't think many teams match up with Michigan. I like Michigan in that game. Of course, I liked, and then Texas, Purdue. I don't see a good matchup there. And I think Tennessee and Iowa State could battle each other pretty heavily, and Tennessee could make it through there. But I like our Arizona to beat Arkansas. So I hope I'm wrong. That's all I can say. But this Iowa thing was just miserable to listen to on the radio. I'm almost glad I didn't watch it on TV.
Oh, so you had to listen to it, yeah.
Well, I saw the last 2 minutes when I finally got home from the never-ending drive from Mississippi. I finally got home, and I did watch the last couple minutes. The 4-minute timeout is where I turned it on. Finally got to watch it. But listening to it on the radio, I was like, these guys can't score on Iowa. And then they came back, and I felt like they were going to win. So that's too bad for me.
Yeah, when we took the lead, I thought we would run away with it. But, I mean, you got to give Iowa credit, man.
You do.
They pushed us around.
Mm-hmm.
Pushed us around. So,
yeah. So they get to play Nebraska, who they're familiar with. And then their reward will be either Illinois or Houston. I love Houston playing in the Toyota Center, my man. But you saw last night playing in Tampa. Yeah, it was kind of a home field for Florida. Didn't mean they were going to win. So it's too bad. It really is.
The Houston-Illinois game is going to be a great game.
It's going to be a great game, and I think Arizona-Arkansas is going to be a great game. And I think Tennessee and Iowa State could be just a physical, kind of muddied up game. I think Michigan State, UConn, and DC, that'll be fun to watch. And Duke and St. John's, those St. John's fans will be all over the place in Washington, DC. It's a little train ride is all it is. So, or a little shuttle. So I don't know. I think we're looking at a lot of chalkiness again in this tournament. I think NIL has ensured that for the next, I don't know how many years. That's just the way it's going to be, my man. That's just the way it's going to be. Where's the Cinderella here? It's got to be either Iowa or Nebraska, and that's it. Everybody else is pretty heavily favored.
Yeah, but Iowa, Nebraska, whoever wins that game will lose to either Illinois.
Yeah, I think
they don't have the dudes to match up with them.
I think so. That's how I would think, but I didn't think Iowa could match up with the fighting Gators either. So.
Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon in Jonesville.
Okay,
city of
so
Alachua.
QB Gator Dave wants to know, why would fouling be a flawed decision? Because you're winning by 2, and you don't want them to tie the game. You don't want them to win the game either or have a wide open shot, but you're up by 2. You never put a team on the line to tie the game when you're winning. You have to make them make a shot. You have to force them to make a shot. I mean, that to me is pretty self-explanatory, QB. I mean, Charles Barkley and Clark Kellogg were laughing after they saw that soundbite. They couldn't understand what he was talking about. What do you mean fouling? You're up 2. If you were up 3, yes, maybe then you foul, but not when you're up 2. I mean, that's just math. You're going to give them a chance to tie the game? And then, anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at you, Gator Dave, but that's just what I'm saying. So that didn't make sense to me at all when I heard him say that in the post-game press conference. I was like, what are you trying to foul him for, man? You're winning the game. You're up 2 with 8 seconds. My God. So anyway, these are just little things that the non-basketball guy in me says to himself. It's just like, well, wait a minute. You're up by 2. Why would you want them to tie the game and give them the chance to do it? Just play defense and hope they miss a half-court shot. That's how, or don't even get a shot off, or don't, I thought they were just going to try to draw a foul from Florida, drive the lane, go to the basket, whatever, get a whistle. Like, why would you foul them in the back? Anyway. Anyhow.
Joseph wants to know how on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, how did softball do? Softball took 2 out of 3 against the Lady Vols. So,
go Gators. Beat them up.
Lee says, Alk said on site, no way he doesn't play if that was his last game in Gainesville. Well, he's not a senior. they only let guys that are eligible seniors do senior night. I doubt he comes back. I think he should, though, personally.
Did you watch any of that golf, QB?
I didn't. I was busy. I watched a little bit of it, not like I normally do, but Copperhead's a tremendous golf course. It's one of the, I think they said it's the third hardest on tour that they
Really?
play.
They said it was the third hardest?
Yeah. Look at the scores, JC.
Yeah.
Over par made the cut.
That is playing hard. There's no question. But damn. Okay. Well, our guy.
I don't think our golf picks were worth a darn. They were kind of like the Gator basketball team last night, right?
In a way, no. But in a way, I kind of felt good for Matt Fitzpatrick. You know what I mean? He
mm-hmm.
He really has played great golf in the last 2 weeks. He deserves to win, and he lost because of Cam Young basically taking it there at the end of the TPC on 17 and 18 last week, forcing Matt to hit a driver after 300 yards on 18, tying the leaderboard there with that crazy birdie on 17 that nobody was birdieing that hole, and he did. Cam Young. So Fitzpatrick really, just picks up his boots, puts them back on, and goes right after it in Tampa and gets a big win. That's a good win, man. That's hard to do. It's hard to win on this tour, and everybody says it. But my guy Jordan Spieth, who I did pick, finished 11th, tied for 11th with Pavon and Ewart. But Siwoo, one of your favorites, tied for 7th, and Xander has played great golf here in the last 2 weeks as well. He had a finish tied for 4th at 8 under. He was 3 back of the lead, and so Xander, I think, is getting into form for the Masters. Sure, his last 2 weeks have been great. Didn't win, but finished top 5 in both weeks. Shoffley, and has certainly got his injury issues behind him now, and I think is playing the kind of golf that you would have to look at him seriously for the Masters in Augusta. He's just keeping it really in the lane there, and he's putting much better. But our guy Blanchet Chandler, my son and a bunch of his Gainesville friends went down there and got pictures with him, saw Michaela, his wife, met his parents, and he was thrilled to see all his Gainesville buddies from high school and so forth. But Chandler was tied for 18th. He shot 73-72 on the weekend to finish at 4 under. Tied for 18th is a top 20 finish, my man. So when you say, hey, look, I finished 2nd in Puerto Rico, I got a top 20 in Tampa. Okay, you are cashing checks and getting your career in line on the tour. So
yeah, he had a bad Saturday because he was 1 or 2 shots out of the lead going into Saturday.
Yeah, he went 66 on
well.
Friday. Yeah, 66 Friday, 73 on Saturday. That's a big swing, but he held it together yesterday. Finished it tied for 18th with Tony Finau, Brooks Koepka, and Brandt Snedeker and Walker and Hodges and Simpson. So he had some good company there and got a top 20 finish. That to me is, you can make a lot of money on tour with top 20 finishes in these events.
All right, Jason.
I'm
That's
stunned.
JC join us. That's JC join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We'll take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by the SEC Network's Mike Morgan. You're watching and listening to PodUp and Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Spinner Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, Castaway Sauce, UF Health Orthopedics, Michael Snyder PLLC, Florida Legends Gala and Experience, South State Bank. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sports, Florida Cracker Oyster, Electronics World, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, International Gold and Diamond Exchange, Advocare, MGNA Wealth, Comfort Temp. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook or YouTube. Listen to podcasts wherever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And to advertise, be sure to call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Coach, you know what always impressed me, how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 national championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean Head Beer Coach 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, plus you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned. Provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville and the city of Alachua. Let's go back to the Tight Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Camp, and it's our man Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. What's happening, buddy?
Shane, I'm a little sleep deprived. I had Auburn NIT game, ESPN last night. I know CNIT. It's kind of a weird deal, but I get asked every time this year, what game in March Madness you calling? I have to remind everybody we don't have the rights to that. We being ESPN. ESPN hasn't had the rights to that since like their TNT and CBS. So it's a different flock of announcers. But I think I called my final college basketball game of the season. But I'm driving back late last night, and I do not recommend anybody do this. I've got my cell phone on the dash where the speedometer is. I'm driving very carefully and very slowly in the right lane, headed back to Atlanta on I-85, and I'm watching the final few minutes of the the Florida Iowa game, and I'm sitting there, and I'm in a number of different ways. Look, first off, I know I caught a little bit of you and JC. You guys are absolutely right. Give Iowa credit. They outplayed Florida. Like, this didn't come down to just 9 seconds. They outplayed Florida. For those that don't know who Ben McCollum is, you know, he kind of looks like an overly stressed CPA during tax season, but he's a hell of a coach. He's one of these guys. He coached Division II Northwest Missouri State. He coached them to 4 national champions. And when he wasn't doing that, he made the Sweet 16 like every other year. Then he goes to Drake. They have a great year. They win 31 games. And then this year he goes to Iowa. And, yeah, they weren't great this season, They don't have the talent that the Michigans do, and Nebraska and some of these other teams in the Big Ten this year. But he's a hell of a coach, and their game plan worked to perfection. And they completely took a number of players out of the rhythm. Like, you would have told me that Florida's front court would have been outplayed, I would have struggled to believe that. The back court, not surprised. But they outplayed the front court. Chinyelu was a non-factor. As good of a defensive player as he is, you can't be that good of a defensive player if you're sitting on 4 and not a factor in the game. Hanlongden's a nice piece off the bench, but he's not a factor player at this point. So then it comes down to the final 9 seconds, and you're really fortunate to be up 2. I love Todd Golden. I've said on this show many times, he is an elite coach. He's the reason why you're sitting on a national championship and why you will be competing for many more. But you're up 2 and you call a timeout to set up your defense. I will never know in a million years why you would do a full court press. If you're going to do it, why you would have somebody on the inbounder. If you're going to do that, why you would let somebody get in the trail position, as in Boog did, why you would let a 3-on-2 the other way, and then, of course, allow a wide-open 3. And then the discussion was, well, we were looking to foul. Well, why would you foul up 2? I'm at a loss for words on all of that. It's 9 seconds that unfortunately will be remembered for a while, and you'd love to have back, because I still think this team could have made a deep run. Now, I had them losing to Houston. That game would have had to have been played in Houston, which to me is ridiculous, but you would have had the number 1 seed essentially playing a road game. But still, it's a team that had enough on paper to make another Final Four run. Just disappointing. That's the only way you can say it. Disappointing on a number 11. I'll make one football analogy, Shane, and then I'll shut up. You can appreciate this because I know you love both football and basketball. If you're up 6, right, and there's there's 20 seconds left and you kick it off, the team takes a touchback like every other kickoff in college football, and you get it to 25, are you going to do a jailbreak blitz, play cover 0, and make yourself vulnerable to a deep touch at 75-yard touchdown pass to lose? Of course not. You're going to stay behind. You're going deeper than the deep. And so you would never do that in football, and you would never do this in basketball. Now, obviously, this is not the way it was designed. Boogie Plan makes a mistake. There's a lot of pilot error here once the play takes part. But I think if Todd got back, they would never do it the way it was done, and would have just played. I don't even think you press. I just think you go back and you say no threes. If they hit a tough 2, guess what? You're the better team in overtime. You should win the game. The only way you lose that game in regulation is if you give up an open 3, and that's what they did.
UF Gators on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says fouling up 2 is a millennial analytics thing. Golden mentioned it last year, and I think in years past at San Francisco. Yeah, I don't get that either. But as you said, the pressing part, that's a great analogy you made for football terms. If you want to do some token pressure, just to don't give them a free run inbounding the ball or what have you, but most of you keep the ball in front of you. Don't let somebody beat you over the top. And that's kind of what we did. But anyway, I don't agree with the fouling up 2. I don't understand that, and maybe that is some new millennial deal.
Well, he's a very analytical guy. I was watching the station that I had it on, and I did see the Charles, the main cast, and obviously they had problems with it too. But I saw the one with Bruce Pearl on it. And here's Bruce, who's a huge reason why Todd Golden is where he is. Bruce was out there telling people, including Florida, like, if you hire this guy, you'll never regret it. And I agree. Again, I want to reiterate, Todd Golden's a hell of a basketball coach and has done great things already. Mm-hmm. But he's an analytical guy, and Bruce was kind of, you could tell he was having trouble saying it. Well, he's an analytical guy, and blah, 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 blah. Maybe there is analytics that say when you're up 2 to foul, and I'm sure there was somebody on the floor for Iowa that wasn't a great free throw shooter. But, man, to me, if I'm Iowa, I'm praying that you foul me and give me a chance to tie it at the free throw line. The only thing that I'm praying for more is that you do a full court press and have somebody pressure the inbounder and potentially put him in a trail position and allow a 3-on-2 break to set up an open three. Everything that Iowa could have asked for in 9 seconds of desperation, they got.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk about some of the other games. Moving forward, who do you like? I don't know if we ever asked you who you had in your Final Four. Maybe we did, and I just forgot about it. But who do you like moving forward, Mike?
Well, my Final Four were it's a little chalkish. And again, I've had all these teams, and I call them super teams. I just think that Arizona, Michigan, and Duke, Duke. The one number one seed I didn't have was Florida, and the only non-one I have in the Final Four was Houston. So it's 3 1s and a 2. And then I have Arizona and Duke in the final. And I know I'm going to regret this because Arizona always breaks your heart when you pick them. I picked Arizona to win it all. And
Me too.
Arizona hadn't done that in a long, long time. And Arizona hasn't even been in the Final Four in a long, long time. But if you were to ask me who's the best top to bottom team, my answer has been Arizona for a while now. And Duke, when healthy, was not far behind. So that's who I have. So my bracket, it's okay. It's not in terrible shape. I've picked a couple upsets. I've lost some games, including this one, that a lot of other people lost. But that's who I have in the final.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about Iowa State. Their best player is out. I don't know if he'll be back for the tournament, any of these games or not. But, boy, they get after it. Any chance TJ Otzenberger, I probably pronounced his name wrong. Any chance somebody like North Carolina goes after him?
First off, you nailed the name. Don't sell yourself short there, Shane. You nailed it. You're on your game. Looks like a wrestling coach. He's a fun dude to talk to. And the way they smoked Kentucky, my goodness. I think that's Kentucky's largest tournament loss since like the early 70s. But your question was about what does he leave for another job? Is that what you said?
Well, look, I know he's done a great job there, but and heck, they may win the national title. Who knows? But I just don't know how North Carolina doesn't make a move with Hubert Davis, and that's the first guy I would go after if I were them. Yeah,
I don't know what Chapel Hill is going to do. It's a classic case. When you hire a former player, all the alums they all get a case of the warm and fuzzies, and you love it. You hired one of your own. There's a lot of advantages to hiring one of your own. The disadvantage is when you hire one of your own and he's not getting the job done, he's harder to fire. Like everybody genuinely loves Hubert Davis, the former Tar Heel, and they so badly want him to succeed. But clearly, you're North Carolina. You're not doing real well. You're just not. And the school that's 6 miles away they went to the Final Four last year, and they're a number 1 seed this year. I get it. They had injuries. There's mitigating factors. Your best player goes down. If Will stays, this might be a different discussion. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, they weren't exactly kicking the crap out of people when they did have a healthy team. I don't know what they do, Shane. I mean, Kentucky's going to have to go through this too if they don't get better soon with Mark Pope. That's one of your own, and they love Mark Pope, and they want so desperately for him to succeed. But you better do better if you're Mark Pope, or you're not going to have that job for very long. So you've got a couple of alums in these posts that are not living up to the expectations. To answer your question specifically, I mean, I don't know if that's the number one call. I couldn't tell you, but you could certainly do a lot worse than Otzenberger. I mean, he is a hell of a coach who's done amazing things already in Ames.
Real estate attorney Michael Schneider, a UF class of 93 graduate, can help you save thousands of dollars in real estate commissions by assisting you in selling your home or land by own without a broker. Contact Michael today 321-345-7870. A few more minutes with Mike Morgan here. Mike, we got a baseball question here on the Titan MR text line from James. He wants to know your thoughts on the Gators getting swept at Alabama, now sit 3-3 after 2 weeks in the league.
Yeah, I mean, look, I usually wait till at least 3 seasons in. So, you know, that'd be one more. Then you got 9 conference games. I mean, truthfully, I'd rather wait till 12 before start making kind of sweeping statements on who's good, who's not good, who's overrated, who's surprise team. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how good Alabama is. I know they've got a stud of a pitcher, but Alabama has actually been one of the more disappointing teams in the SEC over the last, 25 years. Does that mean Alabama has bounced back this year? I'm not sure. I mean, Florida sweeps a not so good Carolina team in the opening round. But I'm not sure where Florida is. When you look at Sully's body language, you just get the feeling he's not in love with this team. he's not seeing. I mean, there was a time where Sully had it on autopilot. Every year we're hearing somebody. I don't know who that is. Do you hear that, Shane?
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, I think that might be from your producers, Mike. But anyway, there was a time where you could put it on autopilot. You'd look up at Florida and their arms, and they would have the most talented pitching staff in the SEC. Year after year after year. Now, there'd always be a guy that would have Tommy John. There'd be another guy who was a freshman who had to get batted around a bit till he became a first-round draft pick. But they always had the most arms with the best stuff. I'm not sure if that's the case anymore, and I'm not sure why that's the case, because Sully's an elite recruiter. The state of Florida has so much baseball talent that you would think there's advantages that still remain true there. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how or why that has changed. Again, we'll see. We'll give it another series or two to find out where this Florida team is.
Text here
was where
on the Titan MR. Oh, I'm sorry. You kind of went out on me.
No, go ahead.
You were done.
No, go ahead.
William's question for you. William's question, Mike, is on the Titan MR text line. He wants to know, in your thoughts, who should come back on the Gator basketball team?
Well, I caught a little bit of your discussion. I think Houck is gone. He's going to be a first-round draft pick, and nowadays it's just so the money in the NBA is insane. So, like, I don't see Houck being a G League guy on a two-way deal who's just struggling to stay up. I think Houck's an NBA. I think Houck's game actually translates better in the NBA than it does in college. So I'd be shocked if he's back. I don't see that. As far as everybody else, Condon certainly made tremendous strides the second half of the season. What he's thinking, what he wants to do, hard for me to say. He's a guy that if he goes, in a 2-round, he'd probably be selected. I just don't know where. And he's a guy that if he did get drafted, he's a guy I could see where you go out, you get drafted, and before you know it, you are playing in the G League in front of 300 people. And Chinyelu, I mean, to me, Chinyelu is not an NBA guy. So I would think he comes back unless he just wants to play overseas. The big thing Florida is going to need to do, I hate to just continue to pile on. It's been said ad nauseum, but they're going to need to improve their guard play. If Florida had somehow made it, let's say Florida won this game, then they get revenge on the mayor. I'm still bitter about 1995 when Fred Hoiberg and Iowa State beat Florida. That's Fred Hoiberg, the player, now the head coach of Nebraska. But if Florida won the national championship, it would have been the worst three-point shooting team to win it in like 30 years. It's really hard to win a championship if you're not a good three-point shooting team. And I know they got a little bit better, but I'm sure Todd, and I don't know what the recruiting class looks like, Shane, you probably know that better than me, but I'm sure they're going to go in the portal and they're going to grab a shooter, just a knockdown three-point sniper that could really help this team. I don't mean a guy like Klapchar coming off the bench and doing it. I mean a guy in their starting five who is able to just be stretch the defense and a guy you cannot leave alone behind the arc. And I just don't think you had that with your top two guards this year.
Am I dreaming this? Are you a Wooden voter? For the,
yes, I am a Wooden voter. Yes. Yes.
Have y'all done your voting already, or is it at the end of this?
We just got I just got a thing on email where you pick your final three guys, and then it'll be another vote. It's almost like the Heisman. You pick your top three, and then you get a for Player of the Year and Coach of the Year, and then you pick your finalist. I guess I don't know, a week later, whenever it is. But yes, I am a Wooden voter.
Okay. Curious. I didn't know if they'd already announced who won that. Because I'll player in America.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you. I've been on ACUF a long time now. I've been screaming that from the mountaintops since January, and the rest of the nation has caught up. For me, it's down to ACUF and Boozer, and I know what you're going to. I don't argue this. ACUF looks like a better pro than Boozer. He's more athletic than Boozer. He's all those things. I can't argue with that. But Boozer did have a phenomenal year and is a phenomenal college player. What I'd love to be able to do is just, and I don't think the vote goes this deep, I'd love to be able to wait till the end of the Final Four, right? Because as good as ACUF is, and he's a phenomenal player, and if I had an NBA lottery pick, I'm taking that dude. I mean, and I've had DiBonza, and I've had Peterson. I'm not sure if they're better pros than what ACUF's going to be. Some people say he's too small, and he's not a good enough defender. How many people do play good defense in the NBA these days? My only issue with ACUF is that why didn't they win more? You know, I mean, Arkansas, he's got plenty of talent around him. Like Cal's still doing Cal things. He's recruiting a bunch of 5-stars, and then now he's got guys in the portal too, because old Tyson's Chicken is spending a lot of money in NIL, right? They've got the second highest NIL budget behind who? Kentucky. So why didn't they win more games in Fayetteville? And this will be a great test, and I guarantee you Kentucky fans are looking at this. Will Cal get to the Final Four with Arkansas? There are going to be people that are in the emergency room in Lexington, Kentucky, if that happens. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see more ulcers and aneurysms and everything else that comes along with stress and anguish that are going to put Kentucky fans in the hospital because they wanted them out. They got them out. They got maybe not their first choice, or even their second choice, but they got a guy who bleeds Kentucky blue. Kentucky is struggling, and here's Arkansas, back-to-back Sweet 16s, and Cal has the type of team that could make a deep run. If that happens, Kentucky fans are going to be sick beyond belief.
Yeah. All right. We have 1 minute left. Your thoughts on Sean Miller and the Texas Longhorns?
I've been a Sean Miller guy for a long time. How many Sweet 16s is that for him? It's a lot. And, you know, he's never had the most talented team. I realize Sean, you know, has had some issues past. He's gotten in a little bit of trouble, but all that's legal now. There are no rules anymore in college athletics. Look, I don't think Texas is good enough to go much further. Honestly, I think it's a great story that they made it this far. But I do think Sean Miller is the right coach for that job. And when they start getting in better players, then Texas they'll be a factor. And you know they're going to spend money. So look out.
Yeah. Mike, good stuff as always. Appreciate your time. Go get some rest, my man.
Okay. Appreciate it, Shane. Always enjoy it.
All right. That's Mike Morgan joining us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. For sprains, and minor fractures, UF Health Orthocare makes it convenient for you 7 days a week, including evenings. Walk-ins are welcome. That is UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Again, thanks to JC and Mike Morgan. Rough night for the Gators, but the sun did come up, and we'll get ready for more baseball, softball, gymnastics, and track until football cranks up. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.